I brought groceries to my in-laws to support my wife, then froze as I saw what was at the house. You ever feel your lungs forget how to work? That's what happened the second I saw her car wasn't alone in the driveway. It was a sunny Thursday afternoon, the kind of day where everything feels fine, almost too fine. I had just finished work early and thought, you know what? I'll surprise Emily. I'll take the groceries over myself today. Every week for the past few months, my wife, Emily, Miss St. Emily to everyone around us, had been spending Thursdays at her parents' house. Said she wanted to help her mom around the kitchen, clean up a bit, and bring back some good old-fashioned home cooking. She'd come back smiling, hair tied up in a messy bun, and holding containers of stew, casseroles, and baked bread like she was running a damn charity. And I believed every word. So, I stopped by Trader Joe's, grabbed a few bags of her mom's favorite organic nonsense, and even picked up Emily's preferred vanilla oat milk. I didn't call or text. I wanted this to be a sweet surprise. I imagined walking in, hearing laughter from the kitchen, maybe seeing her dusting the shelves or peeling potatoes with her mom. Something cozy, warm. But then I turned into the driveway. Her dad's truck wasn't there. Her mom's red minivan wasn't there either. Only Emily's white Civic, and a sleek, black BMW parked awkwardly beside it, engine still warm. My hand tightened around the grocery bag handles. A little too tight. The plastic creaked, threatening to tear. I stood there for a second, telling myself it was probably her cousin or a neighbor, or maybe a mechanic or contractor. But I knew. Still, I walked. Slow, deliberate steps. The kind you take when your gut knows the answer, but your heart wants proof it's wrong. The blinds in the front room were drawn, but the side window near the kitchen, yeah, that one was cracked open, just enough. I took a few steps to the side, set the grocery bags down quietly, and leaned in. Laughter. A man's laugh. Then her voice. That fake, sugary tone she never used with me anymore. You always know how to make me feel good. There was a silence after that. A rustling sound. Then a soft moan, hers. I backed away like I'd just touched a live wire. I wanted to puke. I wanted to scream. I wanted to burst through the door and drag whoever that was out by the collar. But I didn't. Instead, I picked the groceries back up with shaking hands and walked around to the back patio. That door was usually unlocked when they were home. It was. I turned the knob and stepped inside. What I saw next burned into me. Emily was straddling him on the living room couch, half naked, her shirt bunched up, his hands gripped around her waist like she was his. My wife. My freaking wife. She didn't see me at first. It was the guy, tall, smug-looking, probably younger than me, who noticed me first. His eyes widened, and he froze. She turned her head and gasped. Oh my God, Jason! I stood there, still holding the bag of groceries, my veins filled with fire and disbelief. I didn't speak. I couldn't. She scrambled off him like she was caught shoplifting, pulling her top down, fumbling for excuses already. Wait, babe. Listen, this isn't what it looks like. Isn't what it looks like? I dropped the groceries right there. Milk spilled. Apples rolled across the floor like we were in a damn commercial for betrayal. She took a step toward me. Jason, please, let me explain. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because something inside me snapped. You've got 2 minutes before I decide whether I burn this house down or walk away forever. Her face twisted. Not in guilt. Not in shame. But annoyance. Don't be dramatic, Jason. It's not like we were doing anything serious. God, you always blow things out of proportion. That was it. That moment, right there, was when I realized I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being mocked, devalued, discarded. She didn't even pretend to feel sorry. Her lover had zipped up and was trying to sneak out the back without saying a word. I let him. For now. I looked back at Emily, her hair a mess, lips swollen from another man, face smug like I was the problem. You lied to me. For months. And brought another man into your parents' house while pretending to be some wholesome daughter-wife combo. She shrugged. Well, maybe if you weren't so predictable and boring, I wouldn't have needed something different. I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to hit her. I wasn't going to scream. But I wasn't going to stay silent either. I stepped forward, looked her dead in the eyes, and said, You just set fire to your whole life. Hope it was worth it. And then I walked out, leaving behind spilled groceries, a cheating wife, and the ashes of everything I once believed in. I didn't go home right away. I drove. No music. just the hollow sound of tires against the road and my own breath punching the air. I passed our apartment, passed downtown, ended up in a Walmart parking lot somewhere on the edge of the city. I sat there for hours, staring through the windshield like the rain might wash away what I saw. But nothing changed. The image of her, straddling him, laughing, moaning, like I was already a ghost in her world, looped in my head like a punishment reel. The way she looked at me when I caught them, like I was an inconvenience. Like I had ruined her afternoon. That broke something in me I didn't know was there. My phone buzzed over and over. Emily. Her name lit up the screen like a slap. I didn't answer. Eventually she gave up and started texting. Jason, we need to talk. It wasn't serious. You're overreacting. Come home. I turned the phone off and threw it in the glove box. The next day, I didn't go to work. I didn't tell anyone. I needed silence. Space to figure out whether I wanted to burn her world down or just disappear from it. Around noon, I drove to our apartment. She was waiting outside, sitting on the steps in leggings and that same hoodie she wore when we used to stay up watching horror movies and laughing like idiots. She stood up when she saw me, eyes puffy, fake tears ready. Jason. I walked past her and opened the door. She followed me in like we were about to have some stupid sitcom moment where everything gets fixed in 22 minutes. I dropped my keys on the table. You have 5 minutes. Okay, look, I know how it looks. I cut her off. Emily, don't insult both of us. You weren't just cheating. You planned it. You lied every week, built this routine, even used your parents as cover. You enjoyed the lying. She crossed her arms and scoffed. I didn't enjoy it, Jason. I needed something different. You've become so dull. Every day it's the same. Work, eat, sleep. You don't even look at me the same way. Because I thought we were happy, I said, voice low but steady. Because I trusted you. She stepped closer. Can't we just move on? I ended it with him. That made me laugh. Really laugh. You ended it after I walked in on you grinding on him in your parents' living room? It wasn't like that. Save it. She paused, then dropped the sweet act completely. Like flipping a switch. You know what? Maybe this is for the best, she snapped. You never had any ambition. You were too content. Too easy to control. And I got bored, okay? So sue me. I stared at her. You're unbelievable. I'm honest. No, you're cruel. That shut her up for a second. Her eyes darted, looking for something to latch onto. Some weak spot. But I wasn't offering any. I want you out, I said finally. By the end of the weekend. She blinked. This is my place too. I paid for the couch. Take it. You're making a mistake. No. I made it when I married you. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I went to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel, and started packing her things. Tossed shirts, shoes, her makeup bag, all of it, with surgical precision. She stood in the doorway watching me like a stranger. Like I'd become someone she didn't recognize. But the truth was, I'd finally become someone who saw her clearly. No illusions. No fake smiles. No more pretending. And she knew it. That terrified her more than anything. Because she wasn't in control anymore. I was. And I had nothing left to lose. She came back that night. I don't know what I expected after kicking her out, but I sure as hell didn't expect to hear the lock jiggle at 2 in the morning. I was lying on the couch, lights off, TV humming low, mind still looping the chaos of everything that had shattered. Then I heard her voice behind the door. Jason, let me in. It's raining. I didn't move. Jason, don't be petty. I left some of my things. I stood up, walked to the door, and cracked it open just enough to see her. Mascara smeared, hair wet, hoodie half-zipped, arms crossed like I was the one being unreasonable. You have 5 minutes, I said flatly. She shoved past me, brushing water onto the floor like her presence was still something I should tolerate. She moved fast, not toward the bedroom or her duffel bag, but to the kitchen. I'm starving. You still have leftovers. I stood there stunned. Are you serious right now? She opened the fridge like we were roommates after a bad argument. You know I don't like sleeping at my parents' place. It's depressing. I shut the fridge. This isn't your shelter. You don't get to walk in like nothing happened. She tilted her head. I said I was sorry. How long are you going to milk this? I stared at her. That face. The same one I kissed every morning for 5 years. The same one I once cried with when her dog died. But now it looked foreign. Plastic. Hollow. You didn't say sorry, I said. You said I was boring. You said I deserved it. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed again, mouth twitching like she wanted to smirk, but knew better. What do you want from me? A speech? Fine. I messed up. But maybe if you weren't so wrapped up in your little routines, I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. You planned it, Emily. Every Thursday. That wasn't a mistake. That was strategy. I needed excitement. He gave me that. You gave me bills and meatloaf. I stepped closer. You're unbelievable. No, Jason. I'm human. Something you forgot I was. No, I said coldly. You're a user. You used me to feel stable while you chased chaos behind my back. You wanted both worlds. She didn't deny it. Silence hung between us like poison in the air. Then she said it. You were never enough. I just didn't want to say it. And that was it. I opened the door and pointed outside. Leave. She didn't budge. I mean it, I said. You come back here again, I'll file a restraining order. I'll call your parents, your boss. Hell, I'll print out the photos. Don't test me. Her expression cracked. A flicker of fear. Not because she cared, because for the first time, she wasn't holding the cards. She grabbed her bag slowly, walked to the door, and stopped just before crossing the threshold. You'll miss me, she said. I didn't answer. I just shut the door behind her and locked it. Then I leaned my forehead against the wood and exhaled the longest breath of my life. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was empty, like I'd been gutted and left with just echoes of what used to be love. But for the first time in a long while, I was alone, and it was quiet. And maybe, just maybe, that was the start of something better. The next morning, the silence in the apartment felt like a person itself, watching me, sitting beside me, following me from room to room. I walked into the kitchen, made coffee without thinking, then just stood there, staring out the window like my brain refused to process anything beyond basic function. Her toothbrush was still by the sink. Her jacket still hung by the door. Everything felt like she'd only stepped out for groceries and would be back in 20 minutes. But she wouldn't be. I wouldn't let her be. I took a trash bag and started clearing her things. Makeup wipes, hair ties, her stupid embroidered pillow that said good vibes only. I bagged it all without hesitation. If I paused, I'd feel something. And right now, I couldn't afford to feel anything but forward motion. Around noon, her mom called. I stared at the name for a few seconds. Took a breath. Answered. Jason, sweetheart, she said with that polite southern tone I always found comforting. Emily told us you two had a fight. I smiled bitterly. That what she called it? She said you got upset about some misunderstanding. That she was staying with us for a few days to give you both space. I almost laughed. She cheated on me, I said plainly. Silence. Then what? She was screwing someone else. At your house. Every Thursday. While pretending to bring me your cooking. Her gasp was sharp and real. Jason, I walked in on them. I cut in. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't suspicion. It was her, on top of some guy, laughing like the world was hers. Oh my God. I didn't wait for more. Look, I respect you and Mr. Carroll. Always have. But this conversation is over. She's your daughter. You figure out what to do with her. She's not my problem anymore. I hung up. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like I'd scored a point. I just felt exhausted. Later that day, I did something I didn't expect. I booked a therapist. Not for her. Not for closure. But because something inside me felt fractured. Like if I didn't sort through it, she'd still own some piece of me. And I wasn't letting that happen. The first session was awkward. I sat on the couch, arms folded, trying not to say the word betrayal, like it wouldn't sound so real if I avoided it. So, why are you here? The therapist asked, calm and unblinking. My wife cheated, I said. He nodded. Do you want her back? I almost choked. God, no. He nodded again. Then what do you want? And I sat there, silent. Because I didn't know. All I knew was I didn't want to feel this kind of invisible anymore. This discarded. This stupid. That night, I got a text. I need to come by. I left something important. I didn't answer. 2 hours later, she showed up anyway. Buzzed the apartment door. I didn't let her in. She buzzed again. And again. I finally picked up the intercom. What do you want? My passport. I'm traveling. I buzzed her in. Not because I owed her anything, but because I didn't want to hear her voice ever again after tonight. She came up, smug as ever, wearing new clothes and fake innocence. It's in the drawer, right? I didn't answer. She found it in the office and turned to leave. But then she paused in the doorway. You could have made this easier, you know. I looked at her like she was a shadow on my wall. You burned everything, Emily. And now you want me to hand you a bucket of water. She rolled her eyes. You were always so dramatic. And then she left. I stared at the door for a while, then opened the window to let the air clear. The storm was coming. Outside, I mean. Real thunder in the distance. But in here, it was finally still. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like I was drowning in it. The next week passed in fragments. I went to work. I came home. I slept. Repeat. I stopped checking my phone. Stopped scrolling. I wasn't looking for closure. I wasn't looking for drama. I wanted peace. But of course, peace isn't something people like Emily let you have. 3 days after the last time I saw her, I got a call from my friend Marcus. His voice was tight. Hey, man, you should see this. What? Check Emily's Instagram. I hadn't looked at her profile since the day I walked in on her. Didn't care to, but something in his tone made my stomach twist. I opened the app. Searched her name. The first post hit like a brick to the ribs. A photo of her and him. Her Thursday afternoon toy. They were at some beach resort, cocktail glasses in hand, both grinning like winners. Caption said, "New beginnings. Real love finds a way dizzy." I stared at it for a long time. Not because it hurt. Not anymore. But because it was so empty. She had burned our marriage down, lied to everyone around her, and walked away like the whole thing had been a rehearsal for this new show she was starring in. I took a screenshot, not to keep, but as a reminder. This was her true face. That night, I finally did what I'd been avoiding. I called a divorce attorney. Jason Keller, I said into the phone. Yeah, I'm ready to file. It felt like ripping off a bandage that had fused with skin. But the second I heard the attorney say, "All right, let's get started," I felt something shift in me, like I was finally stepping out of her shadow. The next week was paperwork, notarizing, meetings. She was served while still on vacation. Classy. I didn't hear from her until she came back. This time, she didn't knock. She didn't text. She ambushed me at the gym. I was mid-rep on the bench press when I saw her standing near the mirrors, arms folded, mouth twisted into that condescending smirk she wore like perfume. I racked the weight, wiped sweat from my face, and walked past her. "Jason," she called after me. I kept walking. She followed me into the locker room. "Really? You're gonna ignore me now?" I didn't answer. Just opened my locker and grabbed my bag. "Don't you think this is all a little extreme?" she pressed. "We were married, for God's sake." I turned to her. "Exactly. You torched it. And now you want sympathy because the flames are hot." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "He's not what I thought he was." I actually smiled. Shocker. She hesitated, then said the most ridiculous thing she could have said in that moment. "I think we could fix this." I zipped my bag slowly. "You had me. Every version of me. The quiet one. The patient one. The one who brought groceries to your parents. And that still wasn't enough. Now you want to glue the broken pieces back together and pretend it's not sharp anymore." Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't believe them. "You never fought for me," she whispered. I stepped right up to her. "I did. Every day. But you weren't worth the fight." She didn't say another word. Just turned and left. That was the last time I saw her in person. But the paperwork came through 2 weeks later, signed, stamped, finalized. She was legally gone. And for the first time in months, I woke up and didn't think about what she was doing, who she was with, what lie she was spinning. I just breathed, and it felt like life again. A few months passed. Quiet ones. Good ones. The kind where you remember what it feels like to wake up without dread gnawing your ribs. I filled my time. New routines. Hit the gym harder. Read again. Took up late-night walks with music in my ears and no one asking when I'd be back. I had the kind of silence that didn't hurt anymore. It healed. Then came the email. It showed up late at night. Her name in the sender line. No subject. I hovered over it for 10 minutes before opening it. "I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to say this somewhere. I thought I was chasing happiness. I wasn't. I was running from myself. You were the one person who loved me without needing a mask. And I punished you for it. I hurt you in ways I now carry every day. I'm not writing this to get anything. Just wanted you to know I was wrong. About everything. Emily." I read it twice. 3 times. But I didn't feel what I expected. No satisfaction. No anger. No sadness. Just distance. Like reading a message from someone I used to know in a lifetime that wasn't mine anymore. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. That part of my life was closed. Fully. Finally. I forwarded the email to a folder labeled "Closure" and never opened it again. A week later, I ran into her mom at a grocery store. She looked thinner, older, like life had taken a bit out of her. "Jason," she said with a strained smile. "You look good." "Thanks," I nodded, polite. She hesitated before speaking again. "I'm sorry. For everything." I believed her. "She said you never looked back," her mom continued. "I didn't," I said. "She's not doing great." I didn't answer that. She wasn't mine to fix anymore. And yet, as I walked away, I didn't feel bitter. I didn't wish her harm. I just didn't care. Which, in its own quiet way, was the loudest peace I'd ever known. Months became a year. I met someone new. Slowly. Carefully. A woman named Rachel. Kind eyes. No games. No drama. She didn't ask for my history on the first date. She asked what made me laugh. And for the first time in forever, I laughed like I meant it. She didn't replace anything. She became something new. Something real. And I realized something no one tells you when your world shatters. It's not about rebuilding the same house. It's about building somewhere else entirely. A place without broken walls and hidden rooms. If I had anything to say to someone going through what I did, it'd be this. Don't chase the apology. Don't wait for the regret. Don't try to make sense of betrayal. It never came from logic. Walk. Heal. Let the silence teach you who you are when no one's manipulating the volume. Because one day, you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you don't miss her. You miss who you were before she convinced you that you weren't enough. And that version of you? He's still in there. You just have to let him speak again. So this is how it ends. Not with a dramatic fight or a final word, but with stillness. Not with revenge. Not with some cinematic karma moment. Just me, sitting on my balcony with a cup of black coffee, watching the morning light hit the side of buildings, and realizing I'm okay. Better than okay. I survived. She didn't destroy me. She didn't take the best parts of me, though she tried. For a while, I thought she had. I thought the man who used to believe in loyalty, in softness, in showing up with groceries and no expectations, was gone. Dead. Buried beneath the betrayal. But he wasn't. He just needed time. Space. Silence. And now, he's here again. Stronger. Sharper. Quieter in some ways, but louder in the ones that matter. I've got boundaries now. I've got self-respect. I no longer beg anyone to see my worth. Because I know it. And as for her, I don't hate her. I don't wish her misery. But I hope she feels it. The weight of it all. I hope every time she tells her version of the story, there's a second of silence where the truth creeps in. And I hope she realizes that what she walked away from wasn't just a husband. It was a man who would have stood beside her through anything, if only she hadn't spit on that kind of love. But that's not my story anymore. My story is what comes next. And it's mine alone. So here's to the ending. Not a broken one. Not a bitter one. Just done. And that, for the first time since it all started, feels good.